a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Caradoc Hoult is an English actor. Born in Wokingham, Berkshire, he was drawn to acting from a young age. Although Hoult initially wanted to study English, he later pursued a career in acting after graduating from Sylvia Young Theatre School. Having made his screen debut at the age of 7 in the 1996 film Intimate Relations, he appeared in such television shows as Magic Grandad and Waking the Dead. Hoult had his breakthrough playing Marcus Brewer in the 2002 comedy drama About a Boy, for which he was nominated for the Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Young Performer. Hoult received wider recognition for his portrayal of Tony Stonem in the E14 drama series Skins. His transition to adult roles with the 2009 drama A Single Man and the 2010 fantasy adventure film Clash of the Titans was well received, and earned him a BAFTA Rising Star Award nomination. Hoult was then cast as the mutant beast in Matthew Vaughn's 2011 superhero film X-Men: First Class, a role he reprised in later installments of the series. His second production in the franchise, the $747 million grossing X-Men: Days of Future Past, marked his biggest commercial success. Hoult's continued association with big-budget productions yielded varying results, as seen with the 2013 box office bomb Jack the Giant Slayer and the 2015 blockbuster Mad Max: Fury Road. While he became known for his supporting work, Hoult later turned to starring roles mostly in independent films, including 3 of his 2017 releases, the romantic drama Newness and the biographical films Rebel in the Rye and The Current War, where he played J.D. Salinger and Nikola Tesla respectively. He voiced Elliot in Lionhead Studios' 2010 action role-playing game Fable 3. Hoult is also a philanthropist who supports numerous charitable organizations. Early life. Nicholas Caradoc Hoult was born in Wokingham, Berkshire, on 7 January 1989 to Glenys, a piano teacher, and Roger Hoult, a retired British Airways pilot. Nicholas' great-aunt was Dame Anna Nagel, a stage and film actress from the 1930s and 1940s. He has 3 siblings: an elder brother James, who is a United States-based biology student, and 2 sisters Rosanna and Clarissa, who are both television actresses. Hoult spent most of his childhood in the family's private residence in Sindlesham, an estate village in the borough of Wokingham. His older siblings showed interest in acting and dancing from an early age, taking classes and attending auditions. He later began accompanying them as he found it interesting as well. He discussed his childhood and the relationship with his siblings in a 2011 interview with The Guardian. "We were pretty outdoorsy normal kids running around in the garden and making tree houses. It was very normal." Hoult grew up with his mother and sisters, as his brother and father were mostly away for education and work respectively. He said that being raised by women might have helped him steer clear of some pitfalls that guys who didn't grow up with women would fall into. He practiced ballet along with his sisters and was involved in productions of Swan Lake and The Nutcracker with the National Ballet. He studied at the Coombs Nursery in Arborfield, Berkshire, and the Arborfield Church of England Junior School during his early childhood. Although Hoult initially wanted to attain advanced level certificates in English, biology, and psychology, he went on to attend acting school at Sylvia Young Theatre and later the Church School at Ranelagh. Hoult played trombone as a child and was also part of the local choir. In a January 2013 episode of the 12th series of The Graham Norton Show, he revealed that his middle name is Caradoc, which is Welsh and translates to "the beloved one." Early career: 1996-2005. Hoult's acting potential was discovered by the director of a play that starred the former's brother. The director was particularly impressed by the 3-year Hoult's ability to concentrate well. He offered him his first acting job in his next theatre production, The Caucasian Chalk Circle. Hoult subsequently started attending auditions and was eventually cast in his first feature film role at the age of 5 in the 1996 drama Intimate Relations. He later variously appeared in television shows such as Casualty, Silent Witness, The Bill, and Doctors, among others. Hoult initially treated acting as a hobby rather than a potential career option and recalled, in a March 2009 interview with the Daily Telegraph, that he was not in love with it. He said, "I just enjoyed it. It was like playing for a football team. When you got a part it was great, and meeting new people. It was an exciting new world." Hoult's next feature film appearance came at the age of 11, when he starred, alongside Hugh Grant, in Chris and Paul Weir's comedy-drama film about a boy. Hoult was initially reluctant to audition for the role as it was a long-drawn process and interfered with his schooling. Regardless, he decided to participate in the early rounds of auditions and was eventually cast in the role of Marcus, a woolly-hatted, oddball son of a suicidal, hippie-ish single mother. He gets bullied horribly at school. About a Boy became a commercial success, grossing over $130 million worldwide, and was unanimously praised by film critics. Hoult's portrayal of a lonely schoolboy was well received by commentators. David Thomas, writing for the Daily Telegraph, ascribed the film's appeal and success to Hoult's performance. By the time the film was released, Hoult had quit his junior school in Alberfield, Berkshire, for the performing arts school Sylvia Young Theatre School, London, a transition that he described as tough. Aged 14, he quit the Sylvia Young Theatre School as students at the institute had to sign with its agency, and he still did not want to pursue acting as a profession, and preferred to attend a regular school, which he did at Ranelagh. Hoult starred as Ralph Compton, a young boy who is forced to deal with the disintegration of his family in Wawa, the 2005 semi-autobiographical directorial debut of British actor Richard E. Grant. The film is set in the 1960s Swaziland, and chronicles the end of the British Empire in Africa. Hoult next made his debut in Hollywood with the Nicolas Cage star The Weatherman, which released in the same year. Directed by Gore Verbinski, the production featured Cage as a weatherman in the midst of a midlife crisis, and Hoult as his son. The film and Hoult's performance went unnoticed. Both Wawa and The Weatherman performed poorly at the box office. Skins and West End debut, 2006-10. Hoult was studying in the sixth form college Farnborough in 2006 when he was cast in the lead role of the teen drama Skins. He was initially skeptical of his ability to play the role of Tony Stonem, a manipulative, egocentric anti-hero, and associated more closely to the supporting character of Sid. The show was a breakout success and ran for 7 series, but Hoult was only part of the first 2. His performance was well received and he garnered widespread attention with the character's growing popularity. Skins went on to win the British Academy of Film and Television Arts Philip Audience Award, and Hoult to earn accolades including a nomination for the Golden Nymph Award for Best Actor in a Drama Series. Freelance writer and critic Elliot David lauded him for his brilliant performance in a 2016 retrospective review, and wrote that he managed to maintain the inexplicable core of his character throughout. During his time on the show, Hoult felt overwhelmed by the attention, and even considered quitting acting at one point, but eventually decided against it. Instead, he quit school at the end of the first series of Skins and chose to focus solely on acting. The show has since been credited for widening his opportunities as an actor, with directors and producers claiming his performance as a factor that drove them to cast him in their respective projects. Hoult briefly appeared as Stefan Fredman in the pilot episode of the British television series Wallander. He later made his West End theatre debut with William Sutcliffe's coming-of-age play New Boy. The production premiered at the Trafalgar Studios, and had record-breaking ticket sales, which was mostly attributed to Hoult's popularity among the viewers of Skins. The play was staged only for a week in March 2009, as Hoult have committed to be a part of the fantasy adventure Clash of the Titans, filming for which was scheduled for the summer later that year. Hoult's performance as a ferociously bright and articulate, but sexually confused sixth former received mixed response from critics. While Dominic Cavendish of the Daily Telegraph thought that he was able to persuade the viewers with his performance, Lynn Gardner of The Guardian found him average and highlighted his inability to bring out the unresolved sexual tension beneath the banter. Clash of the Titans, whilst being panned by critics, was a success at the box office, grossing nearly $500 million worldwide. Hoult next appeared in Tom Ford's directorial debut production A Single Man, after the actor originally cast in the role of Kenny Potter dropped out of the film only about a week before filming was scheduled. Hoult had previously shown interest in the project and had sent a recorded audition tape as well. He was eventually chosen for the role of Kenny, a homosexual college student who helps a college professor, played by Colin Firth, deal with his grief. It was variously described by media outlets as the first adult role for Hoult, who himself described his character as spontaneous, and somebody who was not simply defined by his sexuality. Playing his first major role as an American, he worked on his accent. In his review for the film, Sukhdev Sandhu of the Daily Telegraph made note of Ford's strange choice to cast British actors as Americans and vice versa. A Single Man opened to widespread acclaim despite reservations from critical faculties about Ford's direction abilities and also emerged as a box office success. Peter Travers, writing for Rolling Stone, praised Hoult's beautiful performance. The film earned him a nomination for BAFTA Rising Star Award at the 2010 ceremony. He eventually lost to Kristen Stewart. He later voiced the character of Elliot in Lionhead Studios' 2010 action role-playing game Fable 3. Commercial success with X-Men and Mad Max, 2011-2016. Hoult was cast as Nux in George Miller's delayed action film Mad Max, Fury Road. The project spent several years in development. Heller's plans for a fourth film in the Mad Max franchise were met with financial difficulties. Filming was planned for the summer of 2010, but during pre-production in Australia it was delayed indefinitely due to heavy rain. With no other immediate commitments, Hoult began to look for other prospects. He was eventually cast in the role of Hank McCoy/Beast for the X-Men film series owing to his ability to play somebody gentle with the capability of being fierce. Although earlier reports had suggested that Benjamin Walker was to play the role, Hoult was eventually finalized for the 2011 Matthew Vaughn directed installment X-Men: First Class, a prequel to the franchise's earlier trilogy. Before the filming began, Hoult worked on familiarizing himself with his character. He said that he formulated his own version of the Beast and took inspiration from Kelsey Grammer's performance in the previous 3 X-Men films, as his charm and eloquence was something that he wanted to emulate. He learned to speak in a dialect similar to Grammer's, but without it being an imitation. He also underwent physical training and gained weight to better suit his character. The film, which was widely praised by critics for its script and performances, performed moderately well at the box office, collecting a total of about $353 million against a production budget of $160 million. Although it was the lowest-ranked production in the entire series in terms of box office numbers, Chris Aronson of 20th Century Fox deemed it an excellent start to a new chapter of the franchise. Hoult had starring roles in 2 major studio productions in 2013. The films, both of which were based on prior fictional writings, yielded contrasting results. He first played a zombie in Jonathan Levine's romantic comedy Warm Bodies, which was released on February 1, an adaptation of Isaac Marion's novel of the same name. The film is presented from point of view of the central character, mostly through narration. Levine said that he had difficulties finding the right actor to play until he met Hoult. The latter himself was attracted to project which he described as much more than a horror movie, owing to the use of multiple pop culture and literary allusions, and even more so to the role which bowled me over. He said that he drew inspiration from Edward Scissorhands, as he thought that the central characters in both share the same travails. To prepare for the role of a zombie, Hoult and the other actors involved with the project practiced with circus performers. He said of the experience with the Cirque du Soleil, "We would take our shoes off in a dance studio, kind of grow out of the wall and make our bodies feel very heavy." The film garnered positive response from critics and audiences alike. His next release, Bryan Singer's fantasy adventure Jack the Giant Slayer, failed at the box office and received mixed response from critics. Based on the British fairy tales, Jack the Giant Killer, and Jack and the Beanstalk, the film had him play the eponymous hero. Hoult's performance was poorly received by such film critics as Mary Poles, Justin Chang, and Richard Roper, while the first of the aforementioned was critical of his disconcerting imitation of Hugh Grant. The other 2 simply dismissed him and his character as bland and boring, respectively. Hoult then appeared in Jake Paul Trower's science fiction film Young Ones, His first release of 2014. Set in a dystopian future with a water scarcity, it had him play Flem Lever, a young man who would go to any lengths to claim the land owned by the film's central character Ernest Holm, played by Michael Shannon. Hoult thought of the role as unlike anything he had done before and said that his questionable choices throughout the film intrigued him. He read novels written by S.E. Hinton to prepare for the role. The film was shot in a deserted location in South Africa. Hoult said that although it was tough to shoot in the hot weather conditions, the beautiful scenery helped to tell story better. He and his co-star Elle Fanning said that it also made them more conscious of the environmental concerns. The film had premiered at the 2014 Sundance Film Festival and was met with mixed response. Commentators highlighted the film's standout scenery, but were critical of its poor plot. Hoult was deemed as an ill fit with the story's stoically retrograde machismo by Keith Ulick of the AV Club. Hoult reprised his role as Hank McCoy in the sequel for First Class in Bryan Singer's X-Men: Days of Future Past, his only other release of 2014. Hoult felt that playing the character was a freeing experience for him as an actor and said that it was fun to suddenly be able to break loose. He further explained, "When you're wearing the makeup, you can perform big. You get to have two very different performances." He also talked about the lengthy makeup procedure in an interview with Shunal Doak of an IGN, saying that it could go on for as long as 3.5 hours. X-Men: Days of Future Past went on to earn over $747 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film in the series and in Hoult's career. Mad Max: Fury Road was eventually filmed in 2012 in the Namibian desert. Miller had conceived Nux, a terminally ill slave, as a quasi-kamikaze pilot. Hoult himself said of his character, "He's very enthusiastic and committed and affectionate, but also kind of clumsy. He shaved his head and followed a strict diet as his role required him to lose a lot of weight." He also talked about performing the stunts in the film, describing the entire experience as scary, but favorably compared the stunts crew and Miller's choice to incorporate real action sequences as opposed to doing them on a green screen, saying that it made the performance more believable as one was put in the real situation. Fury Road opened to critical acclaim on the 14th of May 2015, and grossed over $378 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film in the Mad Max franchise. The technical aspects and stunt sequences drew particular praise from film critics, and the film was credited for reviving interest in the series. Hoult's performance was praised by such critics as Robbie Collin of the Daily Telegraph, who praised him for being fabulously unhinged as a twitchy stowaway on the trip. Daily Express Stefan Kuriatzis singled out Hoult for his fantastically complex and utterly heartbreaking performance. Hoult had 3 other releases in 2015, all of which were critical failures, and rank amongst the worst-grossing films of his career. The feature film adaptation of Gillian Flynn's mystery novel Dark Places, starring Charlize Theron, his co-star from Fury Road, Owen Harris. Dark comedy Kill Your Friends, based on the 2008 novel of the same name, and Equals, a science fiction dystopian romantic drama directed by Drake Doremus co-starring Kristen Stewart. Hoult's performance in the last of the aforementioned was well received by such critics as Peter Travers and Katie Walsh. The former dubbed him and Stewart quietly devastating, and the latter, writing for Los Angeles Times, felt that the duo was finely matched both in their androgynous beauty and in their performances of a repressed humanity. Despite doubts about his contract with the franchise, Hoult returned for the 2016 film X-Men: Apocalypse. Upon release, the film went on to become the 3rd-ranked X-Men film worldwide in terms of box office collections with a total of around $540 million. It was also a top-grossing production overseas. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?